Hey guys, Sor here. I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different today. I'm gonna be reviewing a game that I had picked up earlier this year. It actually wasn't a game I was going to get initially, but I'm actually really glad it actually worked out that way. I'm going to be talking, not reviewing, but just talking about, and I don't really think I'm going to be giving away too many spoilers, but in case you haven't played this game yet, just beware that I am going to be talking about some things about it, but not in a spoiler or a review kind of way. But still, listen with caution. The game I'm going to be talking about today is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So, from what I understand in Hyrule Historia, this game is supposedly the very beginning of the timeline. Think of it as like Genesis in the Bible. It's just like in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. So, in the beginning of the Legend of Zelda timeline, if you will, if you needed a beginning, Skyward Sword was the beginning. Earlier this year, I had bought a Wii U console. I was looking to continue playing Zelda games. I had been playing through some of the other ones, or a lot of them, starting pretty much the beginning of this year, I believe. And so I played a lot of them. So it's like, okay, it's time to start on the Wii U, see what we can get there. So I initially had gone to GameStop to look for a Breath of the Wild, I believe was the big one, and play that one next. However, when I got there, they had a very small Wii U collection, very small, and an even smaller Wii collection. But among the Wii collection that they had there, they had Skyward Sword, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll play this one. I grabbed it and played with it, and they're like, oh, do you have the Wii Motion Plus to the special controller? I'm like, yeah. So I got one of those. So I was like, okay, well, actually, I got two of them, but yeah. So I picked up that one and played that one. Now, in the past, and this was a while ago, I believe Skyward Sword came out in 2011, I think. But I remember seeing something or watching or talking about, but not like in depth. I can't really remember exactly, but it was such a long time ago, guys. Just kind of looking at it, I was like, so. But when I went to GameStop earlier in the year, that's pretty much the only game they had that I'd be able to play with the hardware and everything that I had. So I'm like, okay, I'll get this one. And boy, howdy, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was the best decision I made as far as choosing what to play next. It was perfect. I mean, you would say, oh well, this I'm glad God had that available for me to play right there, and I didn't get Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. So this whole thing worked out perfectly. I, as a gamer, been gaming ever since I was a little kid. The very small notes, but I have my notes here. The story is excellent. I'm not going to give too much of the story away. However, there is going to be one section in here that I'm really going to be gushing over, I guess, but it's okay. The story in itself is excellent. Yes, it's your typical standard, here's boys' everyday life kind of thing. Or, well, as you guys know, Link's life and everything like this. This goes on, that goes on. Something tragic, some tragedy happens, and it's like, oh no, now you got to go throughout the kingdom or the world you're in, collect all the stuff, unlock the certain things here. These, save the princess, save the day. It's just like, so that in itself really hasn't changed, but the story though has a lot of heart, has a lot of character to it. And now I if as you guys are listening to this, I know that it's possible that Ocarina of Time may come to your mind and everything. Okay, sure, but I mean, as far as a lot of heart is just now just to lay some groundwork out for you guys, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is my absolute favorite Legend of Zelda game. If Twilight Princess is at 100, Skyward Sword is about 92 to 95. But as far as like heart in this game and everything, just because I played it, I've beaten it. This game is excellent in its gameplay, in its story. Gameplay, actually, I take that back. Gameplay is I have a little bit of a gripes with it, but it's not the worst. There's a bit of recycling, but it's not terrible, which is good. But as far as like the story goes, again, I'm gonna have as little spoilers as possible, so I'm not as giving anything away or ruining it for anyone, especially if you haven't played it yet. Please go play it before listening to the rest of this. But again, my intention is not to ruin it, but I am gonna be giving a little things away, so there is a possibility of that. So just be warned. But the story, I feel, is excellent. And the gameplay. So this is something that Nintendo is going away from. So the gameplay, not the story, but the gameplay itself is proper Legend of Zelda, which they've been doing since the 1980s when it came out with the Legend of Zelda, for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Or I think it was maybe the Famicom, possibly. I don't know exactly, but but that same formula has been all the way through until it's not the most recent release game, but the game released. I believe they re-released Link's Awakening 3D, something like that. But it was the two that were released before, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Legend of Zelda gameplay is linear, kind of like here's an open world kind of thing, a linear story, gameplay pathway, if you will. Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild have destroyed that. However, I saw another video somewhere else. It's like, oh, well, Nintendo wants to get away, so they want to, do something different. They got to evolve it. But the thing is, though, it's just like, as someone like me who's gone all the way, back to, the first Legend of Zelda game I played is I honestly can't tell you because it's been so long, but I have played Ocarina of Time. I did start on Majora's Mask. I did not like it. I have played Wind Waker. Excellent. Twilight Princess, of course, most excellent. Some of the Game Boy games, Minish Cap. Oracle of Ages, which was excellent. Oracle of Seasons, I didn't like it that much, but I did it. Back in the day, I completed the original Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I played that. Legend of Zelda Four Swords. And then, of course, as recently, Skyward Sword. But you look at all these games now, and it's just like, okay, everything's pretty linear. This is the way the game works. But at the same time, though, I think Nintendo will be and is doing themselves a great disservice toward the Legend of Zelda franchise, because they've always done it in a linear fashion, pretty much. And you gotta evolve. No, you don't actually have to. If something is working for you and you've garnished a huge fan base from it, and people praise it and like it and everything, why change it? Now, not saying not why change it. Yes, you always try new things. I mean, look at Twilight Princess. That was a huge thing. Now the main premise of the gameplay did not change, but there were a lot of aspects that were different. Like, for example, you started off with a, pretty much mature young adult style Link versus a child or teenager or something like that. So it's like, okay, that's there. And then it was very edgy. It was, a lot more, I mean, life and death, stuff, sure, but at the same time, it was a lot more intense than our stuff was. And of course, playing with a, different, same style, but more realistic. So I mean, that right there is like, that's the kind of creativity and that's the kind of innovation you should put into the newer Zelda. Not, let's just throw this away because, and to be honest with you guys, I have this problem too I need to work on, but self-comparison, that's something I need to work on myself. But I think Nintendo's also looking at other titles and like, oh wow, look how little this is and look how that is. I can't say that's for certain, but I'm gonna say it because there's this, oh well, look at this or look at this. It's just like, for people like me who've been playing games so long, to see it change, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't destroy your formula. Good example, we're not talking about this right now, but a good example is, I've played the original Armored Core series for PlayStation. Armored Core, well, we'll call it Armored Core 1. It was just called Armored Core. Armored Core Project Phantasma and Armored Core Master of Arena. And then I tried to play some of the PS2 ones, but I couldn't really get the jive, so I kind of sort of said, nah. But one of my friends in the past bought me, I think this was 2023, bought me on Steam Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. You talk about a flipping masterpiece. I mean, I I can't say anything really bad about that game at all. Now, it is not remaking of those original games for the PlayStation, but it went back to the kind of sort of the way the original formula, but with a 21st century, and holy crap did they nailed it. Guys, if you have not played Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, go out and get it. Steam, console, whatever you have to do. It's excellent. It's worth it. Save your pennies, whatever. If you find a good deal or find whatever, use whatever, go for it. But see, the thing is, but my main idea with bringing this up is that, yes, they innovated a lot. They polished this thing a ton. They put this, they've done this. It's just like, guys, they created a, 10 out of 10 game, but using the same kind of story per se and gameplay. Granted, the story in this is a lot more in depth and has different, I'm just going to say, roots. Well, actually, they are roots, yes, but different endings. But at the same time, though, the idea of a story and the gameplay remain the same, but they did such an excellent job, and that's proof that it can be done without, we got to throw out the formula and start completely over or do what other people are doing. But anyway, back to Legend of Zelda. So one thing I'm just gonna, Nintendo, if you're listening, which probably considering the size of this channel, this is only video 6, you're probably not, and yeah, if you're listening, you probably listen with your lawyers or whatever, but it's just like, listen, don't go away from the formula. I know, it's old hat, it's this, yeah, it may be old, but it works. It's quintessential Legend of Zelda. Because now that I've completed Skyward Sword, it's like, okay, I've essentially reached the end of the Legend of Zelda linear gameplay, which is what I like. I mean, this is, if I'm gonna play Legend of Zelda, this one I'm gonna play. I would like to try Breath of the Wild, but it's just like, I'm probably gonna get just kind of like, nah, this isn't great anymore, because it's going away. Again, there's nothing wrong with trying new things or innovation, whatever, but don't throw out your formula just to try to look like another formula or do what others are doing. Just keep doing you, and it's just like you'll be fine. So getting on to some of the smaller things, but again, I'm saving the big thing for last. Fee, the spirit of the sword that you are, well, when I say sword, it's the actual sword, not the first sword you get. It's not the first sword. It's going to be, I'm just going to call it to not give anything away, I'm just going to call it the hero sword. Fee is the spirit of that sword. And as you progress through the game, you'll, see what it turns into. But one thing I thought was just kind of weird was that Fee does talk to you. But one thing I just found really weird was her mouth doesn't, it moves, but it's very robotic. It's very weird, in the singing that she does or whatever in the certain cutscenes, which you'll see, is just very like, either her mouth is like open and it's just kind of like this weird whatever, or it's this whatever. It's something I just noticed or whatever. I thought that was interesting. Controls are crap. All right, I'm a controller guy, a traditional controller, like the PlayStation 4 controller. I mean, that's PlayStation controllers have always been like the best. I do not like the controls in this game whatsoever. The fact that it depends on perfect execution of motion. I would say I was pretty frustrated when I was playing it, to be honest with everyone. I would say I probably got, now button clicking wasn't a problem, or using the nunchuck joystick wasn't really a problem, but it was when you had to use the Wiimote as in to control direction or something like that, it wasn't great. So I would probably say my accuracy was probably input accuracy, like if what I did was something I needed to do, the system interpreted that way, it was probably 75 to 85%. Now, there was another YouTuber that was talking about this, and there's this like, oh, well, if a button, input, correlates to 100%, the Wii input with the Wii controller, inputted to 99. I don't agree with that, because that's not what I had experienced. It was a lot less than that. Like I said, 75 to 85, but oh well, okay. But again, I really think they should have had an option for a more Now, granted, this came out for the Wii, not the Wii U, which has a traditional, controller for it as well. Similar style to the Xbox 360 or the PS4. So I do not like the controls. Especially with them separated, it's just like, But I mean, I know why they did it, but I'm not a big fan of that whatsoever. Another thing that I'm going to point out was Zelda's character, which I really appreciated in this. I really like the fact that she was, to give really anything away, yes, she plays a very big part in this game. She's not standing by the wayside where she plays a very big part. But again, not to spoil anything, I'm not going to tell you. But at the beginning of the game, though, it's you got to almost know her, almost just, at least from the beginning of the game, almost just as much as you did Link. And it's just really nice because it wasn't this, high and mighty this or, royal this or whatever. It's like there was actually really none of that. Again, it's revealed toward the latter end of the game. Sorry, no, not that. It is revealed in partway through the game what her true role is, but at the same time, I'm not going to give any of that away. So there's, you're loaded with information, but enough curiosity to go play it. Hopefully that's what's happening. But I really appreciate that, a lot of interaction with Link and everything like that. Now, the last thing I'm just going to mention about this game, there's a lot, but this is all I'm going to talk about. The last thing and this is probably even bigger than even the game story or the gameplay, but of course it has part of the story as well too, was Link and Zelda's, I'm going to say, relationship or love in this case. So it's not a lovey-dovey kind of thing, but again, like I was saying about Zelda's character in the previous part, there was that there's a lot of interaction, and very quickly you see that there is I'm going to even say there's a very intimate relationship between Link and Zelda, and you can clearly tell that by their interaction. Link being a functional mute, of course, like he is in all their games or whatever, but at the same time, I saw it and I was like, wow, we're just not, being like, hey, Link, here's your stuff, go away now. It's just like, wow, there is real friendship intimacy. There is a desire, that, I would say, toward each other. Zelda more toward Link than Zelda, but again, we're working with a functional mute here, that we're the character and everything like that. We do have some lines we can say throughout the game, and we can choose that, and I really appreciated that very much. I mean, it was just like, holy crap, it's like finally, and even toward the end, at the end of the game, you could definitely tell that even though it's not explicitly said, and again, this is, hopefully giving you feel to want to play it, you could tell by the, I'll say it like, not illusion, not a vision, but the illustration that they show at the very end of the game, that yes, these two did, come together in like a marriage style relationship and actually have that marital relationship that we all want Link and Zelda to have. That's what I'm going with, the illustration at the end, or the allusion that they gave to that, conclusion they gave to that. So, but again, that was something that was just like, it's like, wow, finally, because you could tell that, again, from the very beginning. So I'm hoping I'm whetting your appetite to want to play it. But you can tell that there is not just it's like, oh, well, I know this person, I know this. It's just like, I want to be careful how I say this, but it definitely seemed like this game definitely has it's very light on it, I'll be honest, but they did put it in there, a very kind of like romance / love relationship something, but they were very mild with it. They weren't heavy with it. They didn't make it a huge focus, but they definitely put it in there. You can definitely hear it in the conversations. You can see it in the actions and the emotions and everything like that. It is absolutely wonderful to finally see this. And one thing we there's, famous scenes in every Zelda game or whatever, but there's one thing, and again, I'm hoping I'm whetting your appetite in a good way to want to play it. There's one thing Zelda says near the end that she says to Link, and that stuck with me, because there's not been any other phrase that I can really recall per se that's really stuck with me more than this through playing all of the Zelda games I have, is when Zelda tells Link, I'm still Zelda, I'm still your Zelda. And I was just like, I mean, and again, I'm not going to give away in the scene in which it was set, because it's so, you will get a lot of emotions through this. Trust me, I did. But it was the conclusion of it, of this scene, is absolutely beautiful. And it's not the end either, which is great. But again, I'm hoping I'm whetting your appetite in a good way to want to go play and see for yourself, because it is that good. But when I just heard that phrase, I was just like, I was like, yes, this is something that, we're going to see, these two actually come together and be a couple. And, Link is finally going to, I mean, I haven't played every single Zelda game, so I can't say either way, whatever, but I could definitely tell that this is, yes, they are going to be, a couple. They are going to, get married. They are going to, live their life together. It's not just, okay, well, here's your reward. Hyrule, thanks you. See you later. Bye. It's none of that. It's just, it's wonderful. That's why I said, near the beginning, I was like, the game's story is excellent, which also, again, includes Link and Zelda's relationship. So I have talked for quite a bit of time, but at the same time, I'm glad I got all this, stuff told to you. I am one of those people that was first, when I first, kind of saw it, or, whatever, I was just kind of like, or saw it, or saw a video, or whatever it was. And like I said, it was such a long time ago, but I was like, But again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's like I was going to go get a game to play on my Wii U, but all they had was, Skyward Sword. And I was like, that was excellent. I'm glad the Lord set it up so that that was the game that I got, because I was like, wow, this is excellent. Is the game perfect? No. Were the things about the game I didn't like? Yeah, there was. But it's just like, so it's either that you just kind of deal with it and work through it, or like one thing, for example, which I won't give away, but one thing, it was just like, I would just, I'd say, what, I'm just not going to do it all together. And what's great about it is you don't need any of that part that I decide to say no to complete the game. So that's great. But yeah, I do highly recommend you go out and get it, play it, enjoy it, come to your own conclusion. But again, it's the, I believe it's the last Zelda game that has a proper gameplay linear story that we've all enjoyed. Again, I am going to play Breath of the Wild at some point, and I'm not going to go into it with a pessimistic mindset, but knowing that it's not linear anymore. So it's just kind of like, okay, but it's just like, well, are we ever going to complete the game? Don't forget, the game is a story. It's not just as, you check boxes. It's part of it, but it's also a story. So if you just drag it on, it's like reading a book, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. I think it started off as a book or whatever, but it's a love story, and it's just, and there's a beginning, there's the middle, and then there's the end. It seems like, yes, there is an end to Breath of the Wild, but it's just kind of like, I can see it dragging it out or whatever, but at the same time, it's just like, now you're replacing a mission to some, a mission, this is your, whatever, this is what you're trying to do, to something that's more kind of like, take your time. So it's just like, and the fact with like guidance and everything, and being such a big overworld and everything you can do, for someone like myself, it would probably get confusing, I'm sure. Again, like I said, it's not that it's a bad game, but if The Legend of Zelda does get away from its roots, I cannot see it doing as well as it would have in the past. Ocarina of Time being the best, still the best acclaimed Legend of Zelda out there. However, I will, put my, flag down on my molehill, whatever. It's my opinion, but it's still, it's still mine, and I'm sure there are others that do agree with me. Is that Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is the best. But I also want to stress as well that Skyward Sword is a extremely, extremely strong runner-up as well. With, again, Twilight Princess being that 100, with Skyward Sword being that 92 to 95, and Wind Waker being also like a strong, 92 to 95 as well. I mean, Wind Waker is great. And also with the games I played too, I would say Minish Cap, as well as Four Swords Adventure. The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventure would also be like a 90, 91, something like that, because those are the ones that I like the most. Those are the ones that I really like. And again, it's Skyward Sword coming out of nowhere. It was released, I believe, in 2011. It's now 2025. 14 years later, I play it for the first time, and I'm like, wow, this is great. So again, guys, this has gone long, but thank you for hanging in there listening. I hope I whetted your appetite to want to go play it, I highly recommend it. You know, it's a very good game. Not really anything, you know, wrong with it as far as like content or anything. Like I said, there is one part I didn't do, but I was like, that's the part I didn't want to do anyway. Like that part. But again, it's not required to beat the game. So you know, play at your own discretion. But it wasn't for me because I don't do the you know, weird evil stuff like that, whatever. So it's like, but thankfully it was an option. I'm like, yep, not doing it. Thank you guys again for listening. I hope you go enjoy the game. If you do have any, you know, whatever you want to, you know, make a comment down below or whatever, you know, go for it. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Have a great evening. God bless you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.